All right, now this should be working. Let's see. Yep. All right. We are live.
Woohoo!
But we are live, but our slate is up. So people can see us, but not really see us yet, Lance.
Oh
Should
my
we
god.
bring the slate down?
Should we do it? Season 9.
Season 9 is about to start.
Let's do it.
Here we are
Woo! We're back,
in
baby.
the living room.
We are in the Goldbergs living room for our 9th season. Give it up for the Goldbergs, making it to season 9.
Incredible.
Holy crap.
The little engine that could. The underappreciated engine. I mean, it's not underappreciated because people watch it and love it. The Goldnerds nation, the Goldverse loves it, but we'll always have a chip on our shoulder. When
Do
Jeff
we get Emmy love? No, but should we? Yes.
also
these are facts.
the Emmys gave some worthy performances awards, but award shows increasingly just show how doofy they are anyway. So it's not like it matters that much anymore. But when Jeff Garlin shows Murray lutioning as hard as he was today, he was lutioning so hard, maybe the hardest ever.
Yeah.
Epic performance. I think that the actors are carrying the heart and the soul of this show so beautifully and so effortlessly. They just embody. They've become the characters. They've embodied them so well. I'm going to come back to that theme a little bit later. So it's a tease. It's a foreshadowing of one of my theses.
Ooh, okay. I love
for this season.
Yeah.
But Jeff Garlin bringing it home in that final scene was absolutely superb. And lutioning hard.
Lutioning so hard, but also, I mean, you said it so beautifully. They go off and do their projects after the season, right? And they're, going back to their regular lives. But the way that they are able to come back and embody, like you said, these characters so well, it's like a part of them now. It's like their arm, like it's attached to them. They're so lived in at this point. They could literally do anything, and I would love to watch it because these characters are so wonderful to see on my screen.
Absolutely. And this is really an episode with no B story. This is an episode where everyone is together the entire time. And I really wish they would do that more often because I loved seeing them all together. It was the only way to do this episode, I think.
It was like a bottle episode, but like an anti-bottle episode because they would go to different sets. But a bottle episode in the fact that they were all together the entire time. And you're right. It was magic on screen. When is the last time? I mean, maybe our Thanksgiving episodes, we get 1 to 2 scenes with them all together, but this was an entire 30 minutes of them together, playing off of each other, remembering Pops, honoring Pops, and it was so beautiful to watch. I teared up definitely at multiple points of this episode. I just think the cast did such a beautiful job acting their little hearts out while trying to not be too emotional with the weight of George Segal passing.
Yeah. And what did you think of the decision to do such a long time jump, to move so far from the initial grieving, such that we were really at a part where I wouldn't say the grieving had taken too long, because grieving is a lengthy process. And I know I'm always here to drop the Jewish tradition. In terms of the Jewish tradition, grieving for not spouses, but for children and siblings. So for Beverly in particular, you have a specific year-long period of ritual that you complete. So she was well within the sort of appointed ritual period of grieving.
Yeah.
But they moved the story rather far from the immediate death so that a moment of moving on was more believable. What did you think of that choice?
I I agreed with the choice, but I also think it was also in line with what they normally do, which is time jump through summer.
Got
Um,
it.
where they like to play within the September through May in the Goldbergs calendar. Um,
Right.
so we don't ever get a summer with them because we're not actually watching them during summer. So I think that was also what they meant. Like, also, you know, they were trying to go for is like, oh, we always start back up in the fall, so it must be fall for the Goldbergs as well. But I
Mm,
do think that while there can be jokes and laughter immediately after a death, um, for it to be on a TV show, I don't know how that would have played out.
yeah.
Because this is a comedy, it's a family comedy, and I don't think they want to go too heavy. I think pushing past a couple months and like letting them go through the initial part of grief um was appropriate so that we could find some laughter a few months down the road.
I think you're right, and I think this is the way to do it without Adam F. Goldberg running the show. I
Mhm.
think the right move without Adam F. Goldberg running the show and telling the story of specifically his grandfather and his family and how they dealt with it, that moving and removing from that real initial grief and what really may have happened or transpired when Al Solomon passed away was, I think, a very smart move because you because I think that Adam probably had a way in which he would have told that story.
Mhm.
And by moving it away from that and by kind of the mix, the mashup with Bill and Ted, which I originally wasn't sure how I would feel, but I think ended up working really well.
It did work really
The,
well.
the zaniness of that, I think removed it from having to like bear the burden of doing it the way Adam might have done it. And
Yeah, and I also think
I think that that was a smart move. It brought us into the comedy of the Goldbergs that has a lot of heart, as opposed to the burden of everything about the family legacy. And I think that was reflected in the Twitter conversation. You know, we always want to know what the original queen said, and the real IRL Beverly Goldberg
mhm,
said, "Beautiful tribute to George Siegel tonight. Great way to start season 9." And she also wrote to Wendy saying that um, that she was that I believe that she said that she was terrific. So
yeah, I mean, as much as this was a tribute to Pops, I think this was an even bigger tribute to George Siegel.
that's right. I think
And
that's what this was about.
that's what this was really about, and you can feel it in their performances that this was really about George Siegel. Um,
And I think that's even a hidden message in IRL Beverly Goldberg's tweet, because she says beautiful tribute to George Siegel tonight.
yeah,
She didn't say beautiful tribute to my father, because I think you had to have Adam there to tell the story of Al Solomon. And the
right.
further we get from the period where Adam ran the show, and just in general, this happens with TV shows. The same reason why we love Blaney and Blaney becomes a thing, and Jeff and Jerica becomes a thing, is they become fictional shows, and the relationship with the audience and the actors and the way the story evolves becomes the canon, right?
Yes, exactly.
And George Siegel is who the audience really ultimately had that relationship with. And with Adam not there to tether it to the true stories of Pops and the real person,
Mhm,
the actors are the ones that are tethering it to us. And they knew George Siegel. He was their mentor, their friend.
right.
And this was really about that. And I think that that's a nice way to do it, so that you don't disrespect Al Solomon's memory, but and you pay a beautiful tribute to George through the eyes of this last group of people who worked with him
Right.
in a storied career.
I know. And this brings up, I think, my favorite TV quote of all time that just happened this year. I don't know if you watched WandaVision,
I
but
didn't finish it. I got a few episodes into it. And I admit that, and I have a high threshold for Marvel, but the few episodes in it nearly broke me.
It really touched me, but there's one quote that Vision says to Wanda, and he says, "What is grief if not love persevering?" And I think that is such the through line of this episode. You know, they're all grieving in their own ways. Erica doesn't want to pick a venue because Pops isn't going to be there. Barry felt like he failed in knowing Pops and failed Pops in that manner. Obviously, Adam's heartbroken. It was his best friend. We all know that. He even says Pops was his best friend. So I can only imagine his grief. And then you have Beverly, who, you know, is pushing her friends away. And I mean, funny line about about Essie's mom died in a car accident, and she's like, "You will never know the pain of having someone die peacefully in their sleep."
I mean, it's very tragic, and I really I'm not going to get into personal details, but I will say, even though it's exaggerated, there was a lot in that opening scene that I felt like I had experienced in my life in terms of the way just I've seen that movie in a certain way before through my own family's eyes, and while it was exaggerated, I was also laughing quite hard and saying, "Oh yeah, I've seen this." I also, one of the things I truly loved was the references to all of the Jewish or deli Northeast food. I love that the reference to the Bialy bagels and all of the different meats and the tongue joke, the tongue in the deli.
Yeah.
And then when he goes to the diner and he talks about eating corned beef hash, I love eating corned beef hash in a diner, either in New Jersey or Philadelphia or New York or something like that. Even where I live in Virginia, but in those places it's extra special.
Right.
And I got my daughter at a very young age into corned beef hash, and so the two of us will like chow down on corned beef hash. And I don't want to say I'm her pops, but we have that kind of two like people from another era chowing down on corned beef hash together. So I loved that little detail, was absolutely beautiful. So I think they did really nice little details that I'm guessing reflected some of George's
Probably
things that he was into. It was really, really terrific.
What else I loved about this episode? It was such a departure from their normal structure of the kids screwing up or getting mad at the parents and then coming back together in the end. I think they were all in this together, all had their same grief. No one was actually mad at each other. They were speaking out because of how sad they were. They weren't actually having a fight with each other and then coming together at the end. They were together this whole time, united as a family,
trying to solve this problem, recognizing, okay, we have to try to find some peace here.
Yeah, and I loved that departure where they, you know, like when they did the family vacation and they're bickering with each other. They didn't do that this episode. You know, they were so headstrong in like, let's do this for Pops, that they were together this whole time. And I absolutely love that. I think they should do that more often, where they're not having conflict with each other, but having conflict with something else, and they're coming together and having to solve the conflict as a family. I think that's so beautiful, and definitely something that, you know, happens in a passing, in a death, is that you have to lean on your family to get through something so tragic.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And they must, I mean, we know how tight that cast is. And they must have been that kind of support for each other. I think another thing this episode did was it also showcased the fundamentals of what makes this show great. And Wendy taking over the jazz club it wasn't necessarily part of the story, but it was Wendy doing what Wendy, I mean, it was a reminder that this is one of the greatest comedic actors of our time.
Yeah.
here she is in this terribly sad episode doing, she'll be coming around the mountain in a jazz club and the high kicks. I mean, what it must have been like to try to be an actor keeping a straight face in that scene.
Yeah.
As Wendy McLendon Covey works that room must have been absolutely incredible.
Also, to be an actor like Wendy, knowing the weight of this episode, knowing the hardship that they have also gone through, and having to make levity of it,
And it hit the right note, right?
Yeah.
She's the one who's got to hit the exact spot. In the Jewish tradition, when you talk about mourning, there are people who are the principal mourners, and the principal mourners are the children, the siblings, and the spouses. So grandchildren might be mourning and be sad, especially someone like Adam who's very close with someone. But in our tradition, in that family, the main principal mourner there would be Beverly. Mm-hmm. And the family would really have to be there to support her. And what she'd be going through would be considered very significant. And so Wendy has this very big weight to carry, as always. And she crushed it. I mean, she's amazing. She's the only one who could do it.
Our queen. And Haley had mentioned that the diner scene was especially hard to get through. But I also think the speech that Sean gave at the end by the tree, you could hear him breaking a little bit. I think those were real tears. And then Beverly / Wendy was also crying. And I think they were both really like I said, acting, you can't be like full on blubbering where you can't hear or understand what they're saying. So you have to hold in those emotions, but let a little bit out. And the power to do that is so incredible. So I just, I give it up to Sean, I give it up to Wendy, everyone, to not like full on just melt down at these scenes. And like, I'm just so proud of them. And it was such a beautiful like tribute to Pops in that scene.
And for a sad episode, one might think, oh, wow, it's going to be really hard to rewatch a really sad episode. Nope, I can rewatch this in a minute.
Absolutely.
It was so well done.
This is an instant classic.
Instant classic.
I think one of the best premieres we've had, to be honest, and we're in season 9.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
I hope we get more of these, like, all the cast together. And I imagine since we have a wedding this year, that
I can't wait for this wedding.
At least the wedding, we will have everyone together again.
just the stuff that's going to happen between the in-laws and the picking of the thing and the rabbi. I mean, I just can't wait to see what they do with this wedding with Jeff. And I thought Sam, by the way, was terrific in this episode because he took a beating, and we've established that Erica is going to be nicer to him, but she's grieving and she reverts, which is, it's explained. But
yeah, I'll forgive her.
Sam made it work also. Sam made it work.
As everyone knows, we're big learner heads over
here. Big learner heads. So let's talk about I mean, we should do our own remembering of George, right?
We should. And Haley brought up or she tweeted out, what's your favorite George or Pops moment or scene or episode? I always love the Halloween episodes with him and Adam. Or, when he's dressed up as Ghostbusters and he's like, who are you going to phone? The Ghostbusters.
Who are you going to telephone? Who are you going to telephone?
Yeah, who are you going to telephone?
So great.
Or just when he's dressing up for movies, the Daryl Dawkins dance where he dressed up as a Transformer.
Optimus Prime. That to me is, so the Optimus Prime episode to me is one of, I mean, go ahead and then I'll tell you why that's probably my favorite Pop.
So it's a little, it's sad actually bringing it up now because the whole storyline was about him you know, he's getting older, and Adam is sad that he might lose him one day, and Pops reassures him. So it is really sad now thinking about it. I'm getting choked up, remembering that episode. But um, it was just such a beautiful story between the two of them, between Pops and Adam, and really showcased Pops' heart
Yeah.
and his love for his grandson.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a beautiful episode because I remember being a little kid, and when you sort of start to realize about mortality, and then you start being in basically abject fear all times about the people you love.
Yeah.
And here he has this best friend who's an old man, and he starts rewriting the story of Transformers the movie in order to save this character. And so that one is really important to me. There's another one. Oh man, it's another one of my top episodes, and I just scrambled my brain, but it's the one with the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh yeah,
where Adam is disillusioned, and at the end, Pops makes him rewatch the Star. Right? Is it Pops who makes him rewatch the Star Wars Holiday Special? Right? Because they go see Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
And Howard the Duck's a disaster. They're all like, "What is this?" And then Pops is the one who makes him rewatch it, and he realizes Boba Fett was in it. And Pops has just this way of, right? It's not Murray who makes him rewatch.
No, it's Pops,
right? Yeah, and so I'm like, well, if I'm misremembering that, I really got problems. But that episode to me is really special because Pops is this beacon of optimism for him. And then my last one of Pops, or not my last one, but the other one that's really important to me as a viewer, as an important, there's Pops the party guy, there's Pops as Adam, but the Super Hanukkah episode, also known as A Christmas Story, when Pops
fan favorite,
when Pops comes in dressed as Hanukkah Harry, and he guilts Bev over throwing out her traditions. It's funny, but frankly, it also has really significant cultural significance in the United States for Jewish people. And that episode really means a lot to me. And the way that dialogue that he and his daughter have is one of the most authentic dialogues about, modernization, but also holding on traditions that I've seen on television. And there isn't a lot of that. And I think it was really beautiful the way it was done. And he really channeled my own grandparents, and I feel like my own history in that scene. And it's really important to me. And it makes me miss him a lot when I think of that scene. And so those three things for me are my iconic Pops, George Siegel, Goldbergs moments.
I think another one of my favorites was season 2, Family Takes Care of Beverly, when Pops has a fire in his apartment, gets evicted. And why does he have a fire? He has a party. There's such a classic Pops moment where he's having a party with all these ladies, starts a fire in his apartment, and then Beverly does up the attic to make like this beautiful space for Pops. And I mean, it was mostly about Beverly, how Adam would take care of his mom, but also Beverly is taking care of Pops in that moment. And it just reminds me of how great of a relationship Beverly and Pops had as like a father-daughter duo. And we always talk about Adam and Pops, being the duo, but really, like, Beverly and Pops just play off of each other so well. Wendy and George played off each other so well, as like these two great giant comedic forces. And it's just, your family, you're going to be there for them. And it's such a beautiful moment, such a beautiful storyline between the two of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think they're intergenerational comedic forces, right? There's this thread between them that's just, incredible. Absolutely, absolutely incredible. I'm glad, I treasure the fact that my children got to be exposed to George Siegel in 8 seasons worth of television that they have
Which
watched
is
over and
such a
over
feat.
and over and over again. And
Mhm.
then we went back and we watched Look Who's Talking, and they know,
Ugh,
they have this relationship with George Siegel that is rich because they have seen him in the Goldbergs, and now they'll go back and they'll see Just Shoot Me One Day, and they'll see his older stuff, right? And Virginia Woolf, right? That's the one
Virginia
he's
Woolf,
super,
yeah.
right. They'll see those, but he'll be Pops, and that's so cool that
Yeah,
they get to have that relationship because of this show.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
Goldnerds.
many Pops moments, too many to choose from, to be honest. He always gave a good speech, too, for Thanksgiving.
he's, so now I'm not as good at catching the chalkboard as other people. I know there are
Yeah.
Goldnerds who are like amazing at this. They take the snapshot, they show it. But I'm pretty sure I saw when the list of favorite places, one of them was one of them the Rosewood Sisters. Or the Rose, there was something like that. There was
I
something where there
feel
was
like
like,
Kermit D. Fonz. We love Kermit D. Fonz. Shout out to Kermit D. Fonz. I think he might have gotten the
all right, I'm
snapshot.
gonna look and see Kermit. Would he wait?
Yep, he did. Kermit D.
So
Fonz coming out for the Goldnerds. We have Pop's possible favorite places: the couch, sauna, wet, something city boardwalk, maybe
Atlantic City Boardwalk?
Atlantic City
Probably
boardwalk,
Atlantic City Boardwalk.
between the Rosewood Sisters,
Oh, between the Rosewood Sisters. That's it.
between the wheel of the Firebird.
Oh, that's his car.
Yeah.
Between
Oh,
the wheel,
between the wheel. Okay.
behind the wheel of the Firebird. That
Oh,
was his car.
behind the wheel. You're right. Yeah, that makes more sense. Paris, which
Okay.
they
They did a
Knicks are
good, that
in,
was a very funny bit about
and
Paris.
then outfield at Veterans Stadium.
You know Veterans Stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old vet was where the Eagles played. Now it's the Link.
Right. They have a new stadium now, don't
Yeah,
they?
it's the Link. Yeah, the Link
Yeah.
is cool. The Link is cool, but the vet was this like beloved but horrifically run down stadium.
Mind you, they did not cross off sauna slash wet sauna. So maybe that actually was his favorite place.
Or maybe there's a scene for the director's cut.
Oh,
You get to see. Uh, well,
good
this
old
is
chalkboard.
amazing. This is amazing. I'm so glad we got to do this for the West Coast for once.
I know.
I like it. Maybe we should do Goldnerds. Let us know. Hit us up. Should we do the reaction shows for the West Coast feed?
Or the
So
East
Lons
Coast.
doesn't have to watch the East Coast feed on my cell phone with me.
I mean, obviously, coming up this year is the wedding. You know, Beverly at the end of the episode was like, I'm ready to plan this wedding. We can only imagine what she has in mind. I think that, I mean, obviously, that's going to be the focal point of this season. And then Adam graduating? Question mark. He already went through prom, so there's probably only like a 2 week window of school between prom and graduation, realistically, that they'll probably stretch out for the whole year. But could
Who
we
will
have a
he go to prom with?
who did he go to prom with
Who will
last
he go
season?
to prom with?
Oh,
He
who
went
will he go to
with
prom
Bria
with?
B last year, right?
Right, yeah.
Will he go with Bria B again?
Hopefully. I love Bria B.
I love Bria B, and Sadie Stanley is pretty awesome in this
Yeah.
show. But we'll see. We'll see.
Um,
We'll see what unfolds.
and yeah.
I also wanna talk about something just in the gold verse or the extended gold verse that I don't want to say it's an apology per se, because I don't think an apology is necessarily the right way to describe this. I have to just find the correct season. What's the season where they go on that airplane trip where they go on the where they
That was
go?
last year.
That was last year?
Yeah, it's season 8.
No. When was the old Ren on the show? That was season 7. Right?
The airplane up, you know, where they
Not
like
where they go to the Lua the bar mitzvah, the cousin's bar mitzvah. That was season 8. No, but they replaced Ren. Anyways, okay. The point I'm making is this. Okay. The point I'm making is this. Ren, a character which we have not the actors who played Ren, but the character Ren, who we have maligned greatly because we did not like that character, was sort of like this not Laney. We weren't really sure what the point was.
Right.
The first actor who played Ren, Kelly Berglund. She did a fine job, but that character was just being forced on us while we were watching Laney date CB. It was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Right. Well, she left the show, and she is now on a show on Stars called Heels, which is it's got Friday Night Lights vibes.
Yeah, I've been watching.
And it stars Stephen Amell, the Arrow. You're a big Arrow fan.
Big Arrow fan.
And it's about this small independent wrestling promotion in Georgia run by a family and the dynamics that go along with that. There's wrestling in it, but people are like, ew, wrestling. No, it's about a family, and it's about business, and it's about relationships and pride. And it's very Friday Night Lights, but cable, so it's not PG. Anyways, Kelly Berglund plays Crystal, who is I would say the female lead. And she is amazing on that show. Yeah. She is stealing that show. And I think that Goldnerds, if you have Stars, check it out. If not, go get a free trial.
You get a week free trial.
Yeah.
It is a good show. We've talked about it a little bit, Shy.
And I think, she's from the Goldverse, and
we support our Goldverse family.
Exactly. And I just think that whatever the deal was with that character and the way that was put together, this show and this part she is shining. And people should really go and check that out. She's amazing on it. Ren was not going to be a long-lasting character anyway. And Crystal and her were meant to go together, and she's amazing on that show. So,
not to be all Blaney obsessed, but do we think Laney will come to the wedding?
Okay, here's my theory. I don't think that the pen is a throwaway. The significance of that pen, that is what was used to write letters to the grandma, I think is really important. And my theory is that Barry will use that pen to write letters to Laney. And as we drive towards the end of the show, it won't happen in this decade, but it will be part of some kind of epilogue, whether there's a season 9 or a season 10 or season 12 or 11. Maybe Barry will write some letters that Laney will eventually see with the Pop's pen, and we'll get some Laney.
Hopefully. I love that theory. I love that theory so much, and I'm mad that I didn't come up with that theory myself.
Well, look, you have the Ponytail Paradox, and nothing's going to be the Ponytail Paradox. But I'm going to now create a new one. This is called the Pop's pen theory.
Oh, I love that. Rolls off the tongue.
Pop's pen theory. The Pop's pen theory has been created.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that plays out. I love that so much. I imagine he is still with Sam or Jeff's sister.
That I like. Beth Triffon is hilarious, but I can't handle that relationship.
I can't.
It's so cringy.
It's so bad. It's like they're like, as if we needed another reason to have Blaney back together. It's because this relationship is like, I get just like stiff thinking about it. It's like, it is so cringy.
Yeah, it's so cringy. But Beth Triffon is hilarious.
No, Beth is hilarious. Sister. And as a foil, or as like an in-law now to Erica, a foil maybe.
Oh yeah. I love an in-law dynamic. Ooh, speaking of Beth Triffon, now that she's really stuck with the show, maybe she'll come on the show.
Maybe
that'd be kind of fun.
We're here if you're free.
Beth Triffon, you're being paged to the Goldverse, to the Goldnerds. And then maybe if we're lucky, I have to say, my hope and dream is that we'll one day get to talk to the ever elusive Troy.
Troy, come to our show. We need you, buddy.
We're gonna have to call in all the favors this year.
We will.
For Troy.
We're coming for you,
We've
Troy.
been very lucky. We've been very lucky. The fact that we closed out last year with Wendy was just one of the greatest blessings ever. If we can get Troy.
What did you say? Need Troy. I said she's a queen.
Yeah, she's the best.
She is the best, and we love Troy. And we would love to have the duo, Haley and Sam, on together, highlighting their wedding season, a big season for both characters.
Oh my goodness.
We'd love to have them back on together.
That would be incredible. That would be incredible. Well, hopefully we'll have a chance soon. Now, I am actually headed to the homeland of the Philadelphia area very early tomorrow morning. So I'm excited about that. The land of cheesesteaks and soft pretzels.
Ooh.
But it also means I have to wrap soon.
Okay.
I'm going to faint.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Goldnerds, this has been a great live podcast hitting up the season 9 premiere of the Goldbergs. We love our fans dearly. Tell us what you're hoping for this season. What type of wedding antics you like to see on TV. And who do you want on the show? Like on the on the Goldbergs. Who would you like guest starring on the Goldbergs? But who would you like guest starring on the Goldnerds podcast?
Right. And we assume yes, Jeff Garland. We'd love to talk to Jeff Garland. Probably unlikely.
Yeah.
That's I guess the most elusive unicorn of all. But we love I love talking to the actors who come in and do the supporting parts.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they have such fun stories and bringing really unique perspectives. It's really fun. I mean, I love talking to all of them. It's amazing. But some of my favorite times, like Jackie Geary and Bria B, are two of my favorite conversations I've ever had with anyone ever.
They're such lovely human beings. Shout out to Bria B and Jackie Geary.
Also, a shout out to Chris Adams, one of the Goldnerds who's in the chat right now. Chris.
What's up, Chris?
Great to see you in there. All righty.
All right. Well, Shy, hit us with your digits.
My digits are at Pancake4Table on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me every week with my sisters, Lily and Becky, on the Friday Night Movie Podcast, wherever you get podcasts. And here with Lons during the Goldberg season.
We are here. I'm Lons. You can find me at PKPrime12 on Twitter and Instagram. This has been a Goldnerds Season 9 premiere podcast, and you can find all Goldnerds related things at Goldnerds on Twitter, at the Goldnerds on Instagram. We love the Goldnerd fandom. We love you guys. Schmoopies, schmoopaloos.
Have a summer.
JTP out.
Bye.